Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adrienne Gilliard here with Sandra Bazan, and we're from ELC's Inclusion Team, bringing you Behavior Bites Tidbits. Last week, we introduced the cycle of effective redirection, and we spoke in depth about the emotional piggy bank and how that portion of the cycle is our preemptive measure for relationship building for those times when we have to redirect our children. This week, we're going to discuss the actual implementation of redirection. And when we redirect behavior, that is a technique that involves changing the focus of a child's attention from an undesirable behavior to a more positive one. And it interrupts and redirects a child's challenging behavior and attempts to calm them down to avoid further conflict. So, Sandy, let's take a few minutes to explain what it actually looks like in action.
Yeah, Adrian. So I remember you and we had an in-depth tidbit that we did on noncompliance and defiance, right? And
Mhm.
so I think that one is a good reference point just to throw it out there. If you guys want to just scroll and see that tidbit, I think that one's going to be extremely detailed in the how-tos. I
Mhm.
think we need to focus on the preparedness of, right? So we have to have a plan. The only time we should not have a plan is probably that very first moment of defiant behavior or non-compliant behavior that comes out of left, right?
Right.
But even then, as great educators, we should have a global, behavior management system in the classroom already in works, right?
Mhm.
And that, as we know, is that bottom layer of the pyramid where everybody gets the same. Everybody knows what's expected. We've already laid the foundation and the groundwork.
Right.
Now we're building rapport. We're starting to get to know our students. And now we're starting to see, this child over here seems to have trouble with transitions. Ah, this child over here has a problem when I ask them to come over and do academic work. I can start to see them getting a little spicy, right? A
Mhm. A
little
little wiggly, a
defiant.
little
I don't
antsy.
want to, right?
Mhm.
So now I'm starting to pick up the different nuances and the temperaments of the students that are in my classroom.
Right.
Great. Now what? So now I need to figure out my plan. And the plan I typically did it in writing, like first, then. If this happens, because this always happens, every time I ask Billy to go clean up, every time Billy acts this certain way. And when he does, first I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and then, right? But I have a plan in action. I have a
Mhm.
plan in place. What I don't want is to get caught off guard, right? And so, like I said, the first time it happens, okay, there should be no second time because already my wheels are turning like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, so next time Billy, Adrian, whoever has a moment, I already know my plan is going to go into place, right? And so having a couple of toolkits, like skills in your back pocket, works wonders. Number one would probably be getting them to be redirected in terms of like they get distracted, right? So that's number one. If we can distract a child, chances are their temper tantrum isn't going to get as escalated, right?
Right. Mhm.
Have options and choices always readily available, especially if the child doesn't want to be redirected. Okay, well, what would you like to do instead? Do you want to clean up the do you want to clean up Play-Dohs or do you want to help me clean up the blocks? Right? A lot of
Right.
different kids, if you ask them to do something, their answer is going to be no.
No,
But if I give you a choice, that's not a yes, no
not a
answer.
yes or no. They have to pick one or the other.
You have to pick one or the other. So did you want to help me with the Play-Doh or do you want to help me with the blocks? Right? Some children will say no for either, right? Okay, what's my plan then? I have to have a plan in place at all times, whether it's distracting, whether it's we had another one where we discussed changing the channel, right?
Absolutely.
Teaching the skill of changing your own channel when I'm feeling frustrated. How can I teach my students I have the power to change what I'm thinking about? Giving
Mhm.
them those skills before they tantrum, before they're defiant, before they're non-compliant, making sure that everybody is aware that every time you don't clean up, this is the consequence, and that you're consistent and that you follow through
Mhm.
every time. So that's the name of the game. That's the goal. The goal is to have a plan and to check ourselves, because as educators, the very first thing I have to remember is that I need to be in control of my own emotions first before I can handle the emotions of somebody else. And so if I feel myself being triggered, I can then model some deep breathing and calm myself first before I ask for what I'm about to ask for. Do you want to do this now or when you are ready? And again, being explicit with that. So I don't know if that kind of answered the goal of this, but I think it's really, really important that we make sure that we all have a plan in place first and
Right.
foremost. Where, for example, where are the breaks going to be taking place?
Mhm.
Having a set area, a designated area, having
And that place is not the same as your safe space.
doesn't have to be. It
Right.
doesn't have to, or it can be. It depends on,
Mhm.
again, we all have such different classrooms
Mhm.
dynamics, and like some of us are so blessed with ginormous rooms and other of us are not, right?
Right.
And so we have to be creative. We have got to get creative. Even if we don't have a place designated, we might have a tablecloth that I could put over
Absolutely.
a table, and now I have like a little safe cave where my student might be need to go and de-escalate, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes we just need to be left alone. That's another thing, knowing what my students need specifically for those kids, because I have built that rapport. So having those calming kits, right? So if I talk to my students about what happens to my body when I am angry, right? This is all preemptive. This is all before the tantrum happens. Now we're talking about social emotional learning. This is what my body feels like when it's angry. My ears get hot. I get tingly in my fingertips. I start to sweat. I
Mhm.
get hot. Ooh, I feel it coming in here. Like there's so many. And what do you feel, Adrian? And so now we're having this conversation. Okay, great. What makes you feel better? Oh, I need to scream, because when I'm mad, I need to scream. Ooh, maybe now I introduce a screaming pillow, and I have a kit for my mad kit, right? When I'm mad, this is the red box
Right.
toolkit. So
Mhm.
anything that I need, maybe I need to squeeze something, or I feel like I need to break something. Well, I'm gonna put things in that box that allow for that function to get that out, right?
Get that
Because
out.
as we know, it's going to come out one way or another. Let's give our students the skills, number one, and then the tools, number two,
Mhm.
right? So we're talking about it, and now we're putting this all together. Third thing is, now let's practice, right? I'm going to practice this when there is not a tantrum in sight. And it's going to be fun, and it's going to be role playing. And, Miss Adrian, I'm going to pretend with you because we're co-teachers, and we're going to create a skit. And now we're going to ask Billy, who does have an issue with anger sometimes,
Right.
right? And pull him in. And now, Billy, what makes you mad? I don't like it when somebody takes my toy. Oh, let's pretend. Now I'm going to take a toy, or I might have another student pretend, but it's safe. We're role playing. Okay,
Mhm.
Billy, now you're mad. Pretend you're mad. Oh, what are you going to do? I'm going to go to my safe space, and I'm going to use the screaming pillow. Take the screaming pillow. Go have fun with it. Right? We're practicing this so that when it actually happens, it's not punishment. It's not perceived as a timeout. It's perceived of, okay, I know what I need to do. I need to calm down. And then we're going to go into part 3 next time. So I'm not going to talk about what the part 3 of it is, but then remembering that our role is consistency and follow through, right?
Right.
So now I planned it. I have a plan. We talked about it. We practiced it. We role modeled it. We did all of the things. I've given them the tools. I've taught them what I mean by change the channel, right? And again, all of those things we've talked about in previous tidbits. But Now what? Now it's up to me as the educator, as the adult. We have a tendency, Adrian, to not want to poke the bear, right?
We hear it all the time. You know, I know he's gonna cry, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let him do whatever it is he
I'm
needs
not
to.
going to tell him to clean up because every
Mhm.
time I tell him to clean up, he throws the
He
toy.
throws a fit, he throws a fit, he throws a toy, or he hurts his friends. So I'm just not gonna tell him to clean up.
And I'm here to say that it's an impossibility to fix or manage or change a behavior without that behavior being present.
Mhm.
Right? So if we have a non-compliant student, there's no way to teach compliance. There's no way to teach all of that until they're non-compliant, right? So if you have an aggressive student, there's no way to teach them how to self-regulate unless they're not regulated, right? And so avoiding tiptoeing around and not wanting to rattle the cage is counterproductive
It's
and
counterproductive. It
counterintuitive.
doesn't teach anything.
It doesn't, and what it's actually doing,
It's
if we,
reinforcing.
thank you, it's exactly that. Because if I am not, and it's not fair, think about all the other behaviors and all the other eyes that
Mhm.
are in my classroom, and I have to be the perfect model of fairness, right? Because that's what is, right? If that's the classroom rule, then everybody, with a lot of modifications and accommodations if needed, needs to adhere, right? So maybe Billy doesn't clean up an entire area. Maybe me and Billy are working on cleaning up that one Lego piece, but he's
Mhm.
still cleaning up. Do you see the difference? The
Absolutely.
nuances are there, but it's fair, right? And so
Right.
what do I do when Billy doesn't want to clean up not even that one Lego piece? And that's what we're talking about now. Have a plan, follow through, consistency, and understanding that we need to poke the bear in order to be able to handle those behaviors and provide the skills and the tools and put them into practice.
Absolutely.
So that's what I got for you today.
Okay, well, thank you, Sandy. So we still encourage you to go back and look at that behavior bites tidbit that we did on oppositional defiance, right?
Opposition to defiance, yeah.
Yes. And so next week, we're going to complete the cycle of effective redirection with the emotional repair. So if you're still experiencing challenging behaviors with any of the children in your classroom, you can always reach out to Debbie K on our warm line, where her number is 954-295-0672. We'd like to encourage you to connect with us on our Behavior Bites Zoom that happens every Friday from 1 until 2. Speak with your director about registering. And if you found this video and other videos of ours helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you back here next time.
Take care.